Hello, Best Darn Diddly listeners. It's Mike Reese, writer and producer of The Simpsons and author of the upcoming book, Springfield Confidential, Jokes, Secrets, and Outright Lies from a Lifetime of Writing for The Simpsons. Day Street Books and I are partnering with the Best Darn Diddly Review Show to give away 5 early release copies of my new book. All you have to do to enter to win is to use the hashtag Worst contest ever on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. You can also pre-order the book now on Amazon.com.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons, or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by 2 dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as MrMostDaysOff, and today we are discussing the episode, a problem that neither Richie or I ever had, The Boy Who Knew Too Much. And of course, joining me as always, your co-host with the most, Richie the WizKid. How you doing today, Rich?
I was doing okay till you took that slight against me, sir.
We're in the same boat, brother. Don't act like it's not true.
Don't put me in your sinking ship, you son of a bitch. But I guess I'm okay despite what you just said. But that's alright because I'm going to throw you off your game with my opening today. I mean, we're getting another Skinner episode in back-to-back weeks, and it's like they completely forgot that they were friends like a week ago, too. So this is going to be interesting to talk about today, I think. But for now, I'll throw it back to you. The man. The myth. The... Meow, 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 meow.
The weird part is Richie didn't actually say that. He just thought it really hard.
Yes, I think different things than what I actually say. Yes! Threw you off your game. Suck it.
He thinks things that he would never actually say. So we are talking today about a very Skinner episode, The Boy Who Knew Too Much, which originally aired on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo of 1994. The chalk gag on this one is there are plenty of businesses like show business, and the couch gag is a repeat. It's the David Letterman set, and Merkin on the commentary said that he just once again wanted to show his support for David Letterman, who is actually being sent from NBC to CBS at that time during the whole war with Jay Leno over The Tonight Show.
I just saw a recent episode on TV like a day or two ago. There was a newer one, and it had Letterman in the opening gag, but it was like current Letterman, like old man Letterman.
Oh, weird.
It had Paul in it, too. And he was like, oh, really? We're just going to have him come in and sit down on the couch? That's the whole interview? And it was actually kind of funny. So I thought it was weird that when I watched this episode, it was Letterman again, but the younger Letterman.
I think they just really like Letterman over there. That's cool, though. I get it.
Maybe so.
This episode opens up on a very beautiful day in Springfield. In fact, such a beautiful day that Bart feels that it's wrong. I mean, how can they imprison kids in school on a day like this?
They're not imprisoning us, Bart. They're...
And just then the prison bus rolls up in the front yard, though it is driven by Otto. He informs them that the regular school bus is broken, so take a seat before I blow your heads off.
Otto?
Oh, sorry. This bus and I sort of have a shining thing going on.
Which I bet Otto's probably the reason the original bus did break down, so...
I just have to say, during this whole opening sequence, the animation is on point. Like, everything looks really good, including when the kids are actually in the prison bus. They have slitted windows, and you can actually see the sunshine coming through and shining on them in little slits, which is honestly something that I would have never thought of if I were drawing it myself, so good for them being professionals. There's a couple of other little tie-ins here where a couple of the kids are actually playing the harmonica, and it just looks very much like a prison bus as opposed to a school bus, and Bart is probably taking it the hardest. He actually slips into a little bit of a fantasy sequence where he sees himself as Tom Sawyer, floating down the river on a raft with Huckleberry Finn and Abraham Lincoln for some reason.
I love that he completely misspells Lincoln, too. Hey, Huck, what's Lincon doing here?
He probably skipped spelling class that day, or, he was out
Or
on
history
adventures.
class.
Yeah, either way. Huck, of course, responds, I don't know, it's your fantasy. The school bus does eventually get the kids to class, however, and to the kids' dismay, the school actually spent some money on them. I'm actually kind of impressed with the school board here. Usually they're pinching pennies, and these chairs don't look cheap.
No, they do not, but they act cheap.
They're ultra-hard post-terrific chairs. They've arrived because they're going to eliminate slouching by the year 3000. The kids' posture, however, is so bad that none of them can actually sit in the chairs correctly. When Milhouse tries to, he actually goes limp, entirely numb on one half of his body. His eyeball is sagging, his arm doesn't work, and he says, I've lost all feeling on the left side of my body.
And Martin is having back spasms. And Krabappel's just like, yeah.
I like when she says, I know they seem a little uncomfortable now, but eventually your bones will change shape. Oh my goodness, though. A prank gone wrong, however, because apparently somebody has been tampering with the school clocks, and of all the days to have it happen, this beautiful sunshiny day is the day that they're going to have to stay 2 hours after class to make up for all the lost time. I love this because you see a very guilty face appear on Bart, and he opens up his desk to reveal that he's got the little bastard's clock tampering kit hidden inside.
Which this is shame on Mrs. Krabappel, because you know who pulls all the pranks. Wouldn't you be checking his desk all the time? It's not like there's a lock on him.
They would probably just remove the top portion of Bart's desk because he hides shit in there so much. I was actually trying to look and see what the rest of the items in his desk were. The only other thing I saw may have been like a dead snake in a jar. I'm not certain if that's what it was, but there was something in a jar. The jar had air holes poked on it, but whatever was in there looked snake-like to me. Definitely wasn't moving.
Don't tell PETA.
They probably will get an environmental award for this, just for featuring animals. Bart's had enough. Actually, the breaking point is when he looks out the window and he sees somebody in a sports car. It's Quimby-esque, we'll say for now. We'll get to know this character here in just a little bit. But he drives up with a surfboard in the back of his convertible, a beautiful lady next to him. He stops at a stop sign right outside of Bart's window and declares, and to think, I got all this after dropping out of the 4th grade.
Which, wouldn't it be a school zone out there?
That's true, but he doesn't seem to really care.
It doesn't matter here.
Bart immediately says, that's it, I'm out of here, and he writes himself a note to get out of class. He actually signs it as Marge, and it's a dentist note saying he's got to go get, he had something stuck under his bridge work is the excuse.
Caraway seed stuck under my bridge work.
Bart even included references and phone numbers to call and check, but Edna's like, that's okay, Bart, I trust you.
With a sly smile on her face where she clearly doesn't trust him.
Well, and we immediately swipe to the principal's office where we see her bringing this note to Skinner. And of course, it's a forgery, and they immediately know it.
Please excuse my handwriting. I busted whichever hand it is I write with. Signed, Mrs. Simpson. You were right to be suspicious, Edna. To the crime lab!
They start doing all this fancy detective work, it looks like. It almost looks like they're operating in the Batcave. In fact, the machine they're using is very similar to the 1960s Batman show that they would use the Bat computer. In this case, however, it was a tracking system that they were running to try to find Bart. Problem is, only one student actually consented to having a chip implanted in him that would allow him to be tracked at all times. And of course, before they ever flash over, we all know exactly who it is. It's Martin sitting happily in class with a little red beacon just blinking on the side of his neck.
No, it was on his forehead, on the side of his forehead, top of his head, basically.
As like his temple area, you're right. We see the now plan is they're going to have to do some actual detective work. So they start with an interrogation of Lisa. It's Willie and Skinner, and, well, things get a little bit wonky.
Honestly, before we begin this, I didn't even remember this scene. And that, again, I mention this occasionally when it happens, but that's rare that I don't remember something from an early episode of the show. But this episode completely caught me off guard. Did not remember it at all. Spill it! Where's your brother?
You better answer him, Lisa. He's a bad man. Lisa just starts giggling, and Skinner's like, what are you laughing about?
You started off as the bad cop, but now you're the good one. You and Willie got mixed up about 10 minutes ago.
We did not. Now, where's Bart? You better tell me.
Oh, you better tell him, lassie. I cannot control him when he gets like this.
Now you're the good cop.
What?
I love this whole sequence. It's so dumb, but so fucking funny.
For me, it's the fact that like how much Lisa is enjoying it, because typically she's the sensical one that will just like get onto them, but like she's so overjoyed in this whole scene, and it just like really, really warmed my heart for some reason.
Yeah, and you know, you have to give props to Yeardley Smith on this one too, just because this whole sequence, the voice acting, we often comment on how great a job that Dan Castellaneta will bring to his script, but Yeardley Smith kills it with Lisa. She may only do the one character, but damn it does she do it well. So
much so that when I hear in other things, I'm like, oh, Lisa's a grown-up.
Yeah. If you ever watch Maximum Overdrive, it's kind of weird to see her talking because it's so close to the Lisa voice in general. At least from Bart's perspective, things couldn't be going any better. He's actually lounging by a creek with a fishing line tied to his toe, once again covered in a hat that's very reminiscent of Tom Sawyer. And I love the line, "Ah, the joys of mortgaging your future." He then sees a raft approaching. It's the same raft from his dream sequence earlier that has the silhouette of Huckleberry Finn and Abraham Lincoln approaching.
Lincoln? Or Lincoln?
Lincoln would be it, yeah. Only as the raft gets closer, we realize that it's not actually Huckleberry Finn and Lincoln. It's in fact two homeless men, and one of them says, "Hey kid, you want to see a dead body?"
Ah!
Bart runs away screaming. Skinner, on the other hand, is very frustrated and very upset by this missing student. He knows Bart is lying, and he is off to figure out this mystery for himself. If I were a truant boy out for a good time, I'd be right here, the Springfield Natural History Museum. Ha ha ha. You're mine, Simpson. In reality, Bart is, of course, not anywhere near the Natural History Museum. He's actually at the XXX rated movie trying to buy a ticket. It's just a triple R. Either way, Bart's at the box office and he says, "Look, if I was under 17, I'd be in school, right?"
"Yeah, I guess you're right. Enjoy Booberama, sir."
"While there are no children here at the 4-H club either. Am I so out of touch?" "No. It's the children who are wrong."
Which, to be fair, there is an episode in a future season where Bart will join the 4-H club.
Yeah, but I don't care if it becomes inaccurate later in life. This is by far my favorite joke in this entire episode. I love this line. And that might be partially because of all the great memes it's been made into, but I just love it when Skinner takes a full moment, like there's a full-fledged pause before declaring, "No, it's the children who are wrong."
Fair enough, sir. Fair enough. So you're saying we're not out of touch?
We're not out of touch at all.
Hey, we are millennials, so...
Technically, that is true. We are just on the cusp of being millennials by the definition of
stupid
of
Google having to change its parameters for something that I didn't want to be true.
I think the millennials get a bad rap. I mean, it's fine.
There's a few good eggs out there.
I also think there's a clear divide of millennials between those that grew up with the internet and those that grew up without the internet. Because for us, we're in that like weird generation where we got the internet like partway through high school or middle school or something like that. Like
middle school.
Even if it was before that, even if it was before that though, there was a big difference between the internet when we got it and the internet that is today.
So you're saying there's the internet and then there's the internet.
Yes, and we were part of the generation of the internet that had an onion tied to its belt.
You're saying we're part of the internet Which was the style at the time.
Back in our day. So, for now, Skinner is pursuing Bart around town. Bart is pretty easily avoiding him at this point. He actually makes it to an auction where he's bidding on things at a ridiculous price, and when he wins, he just giggles and runs out the door. The best part, though, is as the auctioneer starts to go backwards through the remaining bidders, eventually everybody just keeps giggling and leaving, and finally he's like, did anybody bid seriously? And nobody did. Everyone's just shaking their head solemnly. Probably one of the strongest gags in the episode. Not my favorite sequence, to be honest, but that's just because there's a lot of good ones here. But this bit is fantastic between Homer and Bart. They are both playing hooky. Homer from the power plant, Bart from school. They approach each other on the streets, and immediately they both duck and cover. I can't let Dad see me playing hooky.
I can't let the boys see me skipping work.
So Bart just changes his hairstyle, and Homer holds a comb over his face like a mustache. They both walk past each other and greet each other with a good afternoon. How do you do? And then together in unison, they chuckle and say, sucker. Skinner, still on the hot pursuit, actually comes across a piece of chewing gum on the sidewalk and declares, a spore. He reaches down, I don't even want to say it disgusts me, picks up the gum and licks it. Licks the chewed gum and declares, his brand of gum, double mint. Trying to double your fun, eh, Bart? Well, I'll double your detention. I wish someone was around to hear that. And so we enter Endgame.
I love the music that plays through this whole sequence.
It's really good, and it's actually a reference. This is just starting right here in this moment, actually, especially with the way that Skinner holds his hands. But the mannerisms of Skinner combined with the music that's playing is actually a reference to the 1973 film Westworld that was written and directed by Michael Crichton of Jurassic Park fame. And, of course, Westworld went on to be remade into the hit series on HBO in 2016, which, by the way, I just started binge watching like 2 days ago, and I'm 9 of the episodes through the 10-episode series right now, so I can't wait to get home tonight and finish the 10th. I'm absolutely loving that shit right now.
Late to the party, but you're still getting the drinks.
Well, now I'm all excited like everyone else about Westworld Season 2. It's not that it didn't catch my eye before, it's just that, for one, I didn't honestly know exactly what it was. 2, I thought I was losing HBO, but through circumstances that didn't happen. And
they're suckers.
I don't want to ruin it by talking about it too much, but yeah, it's the best. And then, wow. We'll tell you later if you want to know. And then
we're tying in HBO to the current episode.
Yeah, that's it. But I just thought it was really funny that I started watching Westworld 2 days ago, and then this big reference is in the episode we're watching that week. Synchronicity, is our friend Toby from the Secret Transmission podcast would say.
Well, I can't wait for the second season either, but to go off what you said, you have to be in the right mindset before you start watching it, because it's definitely a very thinking and talking heavy series.
Very much so.
But very, very good. Lots
of fun. Have you seen all 10?
Yeah, I watched them. My dad and I watched them together as they came out each week.
Oh, very cool. I'm like I said, I've watched 9 of 10. I've been staying up to like 4 a.m. watching them, and I actually passed out in like the beginning of episode 10 last night. So I have to get
when that happens.
It's the word. I was so wanting to finish the series, but my body fought against me finally.
Your spirit was willing until it was tired, and then your body was already in that bed.
I fell asleep in the chair and was like, wait, what?
My spirit was willing until it wasn't.
That's how it works. The parody, however, is essentially Skinner is the man in black in the new one. I think he was the gunslinger in the original movie, is the actual reference.
In the movie.
Yeah, exactly. And in this case, he is still hunting down Bart, and he's becoming more and more robot-like as he goes. We get to a point where Bart comes out of an ice cream parlor with a giant ice cream cone, only to drop it, which again, that's 2 weeks in a row that Bart has dropped a giant ice cream cone because he saw Skinner in an unexpected place. This time he declares, "Ay caramba!" and he runs off, taking off down a hill. He actually uses a rope bridge to escape, and in fact
whoa, hold up. Before that, the shot of him running down the hill is like a split second, but it looks like it's old stock footage, because it looks like that one moment looks like it's from like season 1 almost. And I don't know if you caught that, but my eye just locked onto that where it just didn't look quite right to me. Did they say anything in the commentary about that?
I did not catch anything of that, and did not mention it in the commentary.
Oh,
That's just you, homie.
They tried to pull a fast one over on us, did they?
I like
your game.
Bart actually cuts the rope bridge down. Like, that's pretty hardcore when you're trying to escape from your principal on a day of hooky to actually destroy a bridge, essentially.
That bridge needed to be destroyed, let's be honest.
Well, and it turns out it didn't matter, because this is one of the funnier sequences. There's a lot of funny sequences with Skinner here, but this pursuit is fantastic. Skinner pauses for a brief moment at the water's edge before just walking straight through it, Terminator style, and managing to pop up right on the other end, next to Bart, by the way.
Bart's cocky, though. He's like, let's see him track me now.
Yeah, that's true. Bart is behind a tree that is just feet from Skinner at this point, and he once again takes off. Oh my god, he's like some sort of non-giving up school guy.
That was one of my favorite lines in the episode.
So according to the commentary, those jokes are actually some of the hardest jokes to write. To be intentionally not clever is actually far more difficult than being clever in the Simpsons writers' room. Which
that's
I'm not
so
sure
ironic.
If that, I think that's just themselves giving themselves like a side compliment, basically. Like, we're too clever for our own good. But hey, it's probably true, because if you look at the 30-year run of The Simpsons, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
No, it's totally, like, I totally get what they're saying here.
I do too.
It's so
I'm just
easy
giving
to be
them shit.
sarcastic and on the nose, but when you have to be the opposite of that, it's...
And to still make it funny.
Yeah, I could see where it's not easy thinking... See, I can't even do it.
Becoming more and more like Westworld by the moment, we kind of switch to a Southwest theme escape where he's climbing up the side of a cliff that would literally look right out of the HBO show and of course the movie, which they're actually spoofing. Skinner, still not giving up, is just climbing right behind him. He's hiding behind a rock, but Skinner is catching up quick. Only just in the moment that Skinner is about to catch him, it would seem, a car speeds by, and Bart manages to hop in the back seat, undetected, Marty McFly style.
Yeah, like, that car didn't even pause, man. I don't know how he pulled that off.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was being sarcastic, but Dave Merkin said that he strongly encouraged kids to give that a try themselves.
Only Merkin could get away with that.
The car Bart just so happened to hop into is the same one we saw earlier, with that Mayor Quimby looking and sounding guy next to his blonde friend. "Freddie, honey, I think something just dropped into the back seat."
I'm not paying you to talk.
We see the car speed straight through the gates of the Quimby compound and slam through the hedges into the lawn, where it seems like they are having a party.
Did you see the sign outside the Quimby compound, what it said?
No, I didn't. What did it say?
It said Thursday is ladies' night.
Oh, I did see that. I just forgot to write down. Yeah, that's fantastic.
To be fair, I think in Quimby land, every night is ladies' night.
Oh, what a night.
Every night.
So Freddie hops out of the car. There's a couple people throwing the football in the backyard, and he grabs it and says, "Give me the ball." He takes the ball, throws it in the punch bowl, and declares proudly, "The punch has been spiked." Ha ha!
The punch has been spiked. And everybody laughs. Everybody likes it. It's just, I almost said assholes, but I didn't mean that. I just, yeah, it feels
definitely
a little bit
seems
Richie.
like a very, almost like a frat type of party, or just like the enemies in any... The enemy in any school-based movie about colleges, like, for instance, that popular
kids.
one by National Lampoons that did all right. Any movie, though, of course.
Christmas Vacation?
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. No. But, like, of course, like Animal House, and the one that we really love that's more recent would be
Old school?
Actually, old school would be another one.
You're thinking Accepted. Oh my gosh, where did I go with that?
Accepted,
yeah. One of our favorite movies.
It's always, though, just the rich, snobby people that
guys.
have annoying parties. In this case, it's a rich political family, of course. They're very strongly referencing the Kennedys, but we'll talk more about that as we go along here shortly. For now, Quimby is just proud of his nephew. He actually, it turns out it's actually a party for Freddy, the person driving the convertible the whole time. It's his 18th birthday, and all Quimby has to say is, Freddy, may all of your disgraces be private. Right in line. That's right in. Bart's great here, too, though, because he actually shows up and no one knows who he is, but he just says, I'm one of your nephews you don't see very often. Bart. Good cover.
Great name.
Good cover. He actually gets to meet one of his idols, though, somebody he really looks up to, because McBain is at this party. Couple of great jokes right here. Bart says, hey, McBain, I'm a big fan, but your last movie really sucked.
I know. There were script problems from day one.
Yeah, I'll say. Magic ticket my ass, McBain.
Maria, my mighty heart is breaking. I'll be in the Humvee.
Two great jokes.
That was much better. That was a much better Arnold there.
No, you did good. It's McBain, though, not Arnold. I don't know who you're talking about. Two great jokes, though, talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, the obvious parody. For one, they're talking about with that magic ticket, the movie Last Action Hero, which was an absolute bomb in theaters. However, for at least this kid who is like 9 or 8 when that came out, I absolutely love that movie. And frankly, I've seen it recently and I think it holds up pretty well.
Dude, I watched that movie all the time. I loved that movie. And the bad guy was like so evil in it too.
Yeah, especially when he's got the kid on the rooftop at the end. That shit's sinister. The other joke here, though, we've already mentioned that this is an obvious allude to the Kennedy family, and this is just kind of strengthening that metaphor because McBain references the woman he's with as Maria, and of course, in real life, Maria Shriver was married to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and she is the real-life niece of Robert Kennedy, Ted Kennedy, and former President John F. Kennedy.
Oh, it's all connected.
Yeah,
and of course, they're the kind of people that drive Humvees.
Of course they would. The governor. They're divorced now, but they were married for, I think, the duration of his time in office, if I'm not mistaken. It might have happened while they were in office. I don't really keep up with that type of stuff. I keep up with cartoons, the important stuff.
Hey, if Ted Cruz would keep up with cartoons properly, maybe he wouldn't misuse quotes from them.
Good point. I still just can't believe that he thinks, you know what happened. It's fine. So, in traditional Simpsons style, we are now most of the way through Act 1, and nothing that we have seen really has anything to do with what this episode is really going to be about. This is all about to change, however, when the waiter comes by, and Freddy needs to know, hey, what the hell is this?
It's a bowl of chowder, sir.
Wait a minute. Come here. What did you call it? Say it loud enough so everyone can hear. Come on, say it.
Chowder.
Chowder. It's chowder. Chowder. Say it right.
Chowder.
Come back. Come back here. I'm not through demeaning you.
Which, I have done this bit so many times in my life. I don't know why the scene in the one in the kitchen always stuck with me, but I always do the chowder.
Chowder.
It's chowder. I do that all the time.
I always do that.
But I'm the only one doing the voices.
I never do the chowder part, but anytime anybody orders chowder, I'm always like, it's chowder.
I do. It's hard not to, man.
It really is. That's going to be the remainder of this episode, as Richie and I are just going to be screaming chowder at each other.
But I'm going to switch roles left and right just to confuse everything.
While Freddy and the waiter are getting into this scuffle, Bart has found himself into the kitchen where he finds the world's largest Rice Krispie treat, and he just takes a big bite right out of the corner. I love that.
Boy, the rich sure do know how to live.
But just then, Freddy and that waiter come in, and they're still kind of fighting with each other, so Bart ducks under the table to hide. Freddy's still just obsessed with getting this waiter to say chowder again, but the waiter refuses adamantly.
Never.
So Freddy's finally like, all right, you asked for it. I'm going to enjoy this. And we just have an image of Bart, and his face looks pretty worried, but we hear a lot of noises happening. It sounds like a full-on fight is occurring. There's loud bangs, there's screaming, there's clanking, there's yelling. There's a lot happening, and all we see is Bart's face for now.
But it does not sound good. Bart says, "Oi, that's gotta hurt."
Yeah. And then Wiggum and a couple others burst through the door and say, "Oh my god! Someone's taking a bite out of the big Rice Krispie square." Oh, and the waiter's been brutally beaten.
Oh, yeah, and the waiter's been brutally beaten.
Oh, I love Chief Wiggum, which, since we're on the subject of Wiggum, we have to call ourselves out here, Richie. I'm sure you saw on Twitter, because everybody was very, very excited to tell us how wrong we had gotten it. We do have to talk about the inspiration for Chief Wiggum.
Yes, I occasionally look at my Twitter. Occasionally.
Very occasionally.
But we did not mention Edward G. Robinson once at all as the inspiration for Chief Wiggum. So thank you, Twitter, for pointing that out to us. Particularly, was it Cugino Bambino?
There was actually him, Patsy, Patty Cakes, of course, from...
Oh, Patty Cakes. Yeah, you have to use his actual legal name or else it doesn't count.
There was actually several other people, though. I forgot everyone who was quick to let us know that we fucked up there. But I think Chris Manley, of course, he's always quick to the cause, and we love that. As we might sound bitter, I hope that's not the case, because we actually do appreciate you pointing these things out. We do our very best to hit as many of these references and jokes, and as many as we can, but frankly, there are a lot of them, guys, and some of them do slip right past us. So thank you to all of you who pointed out that we missed the Edward G. Robinson reference,
and we absolutely are bitter.
But for now, on this episode, that does in fact bring us to the end of the first act. Richie and I will be back shortly to move on to act number 2.
Dos babies.
Are you afraid of what goes bump in the night?
Have you or your friends ever pondered a conspiracy?
Do you want to know more about the unknown?
If so, then put on your tinfoil hat, sit down, and pick up your computer, tablet, or phone. Go to iTunes or YouTube and search for Secret Transmission Podcast and listen to us try to explain the unexplainable.
Follow us on Twitter for updates on shows.
At Secret Trans Pod. That's SecretTranspod.
Or you can email us suggestions
at secrettransmission@hotmail.com. That's secrettransmission@hotmail.com.
Hi, I'm MrMostDaysOff. You might remember me from such podcasts as the 50th Podcast Celebration Show and the Michael Price interview. I've brought a friend along today to talk to you about an exciting new product.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Richie the WizKid.
Miles, did you know that most people have no idea how to get a Best Darn Diddly t-shirt?
You can get a t-shirt with a podcast logo on it?
Well, if you go to tpublic.com/bestdarndiddly, you'll find not only shirts, but also Best Darn Diddly hoodies, posters, mugs, and even phone and laptop cases. It's like they'll put their name on anything.
Help support the Best Darn Diddly Review Show by purchasing any of the crap we put our name on at tpublic.com/bestdarndiddly.
Bye, everybody.
Back from our break, we see Marge at the kitchen table reading the newspaper with Bart and Lisa.
It says Freddie Quimby beat a waiter half to death. Those Quimby children are so wild and rich. I hope he finally gets what's coming to him.
But Freddie Quimby's innocent.
How do you know? There weren't any witnesses.
Oh yeah, right.
You'd think someone would have seen something at a crowded party like that.
Well, they didn't, okay? They didn't. It says right here in black and white, no witnesses. Case closed. Bart actually grabs the paper here. Now, let's all read the funnies. Oh, look. Charlie Brown said good grief. Ha! I didn't see that coming. Ha ha! Later on the school bus, though, things are starting to get...
Whoa. Later on the school bus that is painted original yellow school bus on the outside, but when we get to the shots inside the school bus, it still looks like prison colors on the inside.
Ooh,
just wanted to point that out.
Interesting. Did not catch that at all. However, the guilt is starting to catch up to Bart. Lisa, I gotta tell somebody. I was at the Quimby compound yesterday when that frog waiter got whacked. I know that Fred Quimby is innocent.
You're a witness? Bart, you have to tell the police.
Oh, I can't.
Why? Bart Simpson, I know you cut school yesterday, and as soon as I can prove it, I'm sending you off to the Christian Military Reform School.
What he said.
Oh, I see.
And that was Skinner, of course, who came by because he's still suspicious of Bart.
Well, it's actually really cool because when Lisa asks why, the school bus suddenly stops and Skinner's right outside Bart's window.
Oh, yeah. Just at the opportune time to let him know.
Yeah.
So Bart finds himself in a predicament where if he testifies and tells the truth, Skinner's going to know that he skipped school. But if he doesn't, they could find an innocent man guilty. But Lisa reassures him it'll be fine. I'm sure the justice system will do its job, and they'll get a fair, impartial jury.
Jury duty? I'll see that Quimby kid hanged for this.
Homer, of course, the last person that you want to see. I love Bart and Lisa's reply here. I knew it was a bad idea to watch him open the mail.
It cut to when they were home after school, and it was just like, it was perfect storytelling and with cartoons, and it just all synced up beautifully. I love that moment.
It's really funny.
And to like cover their tracks, they do I knew it was a bad idea to watch him open the mail.
We see the news come on covering what it seems to be the biggest trial, at least in a while. Kent Brockman, just outside the county courtroom where an argument about chowder has spilled over into the biggest trial in Springfield history. Behind these doors, a federal judge will ladle out steaming bowls of rich, creamy justice in a case the media have dubbed Beat Up Waiter. This reporter suggested Waitergate, but was howled down at the press club. Now it's illegal to televise court proceedings in this state, so we'll have to be quiet.
And he literally walks into the courtroom.
They slam the door in his face, though. That's the best part. He gets it, like, right in the nose. We see Bart is sitting in the front row, and he's watching the jury, and this actually is probably my favorite joke, now that I say that. I really like the one earlier.
You said earlier the other one was your favorite.
I did, but now that I'm reading this again, this is actually my favorite one. I can change my mind, damn it. Skinner...
This isn't our season finale spectacular, where you get to rechange your top 5 every 5 minutes.
I don't rechange. Once I say them, they're set in stone. That's actually my point. This isn't our season finale, so I can change up as much as I want to.
We have a season finale, so you have time to change your answers.
Dude, actually, I was looking it over today, and if I had to pick a least favorite episode just through what we've seen so far, I have no idea what I would pick. Like, it's going to be such a challenge to come up
for this season?
For this season, it's going to be hard to come up with a least favorite episode. It's been...
I'm not even going to start looking at that until it's time.
My God.
There's no reason to.
I'm already preparing, and it's going to be bad. I know it. But we're going to get right to it this time. We're going to get right to it. I promise. No shenanigans, Richie. Not this year. We're going to get right to those top 5 and bottom 1 picks.
I rehash my most current statement I just gave you. Fuck you. Is it bad that when I say I want to make sure we get our quote in?
For now, though, we see Skinner sitting on the front row of the jury box and Bart sitting on the front row of the audience, I guess, for what lack of a better word. And Skinner is just glaring at Simpson. He doesn't actually say this, but we hear...
Which Simpson? There's multiple Simpsons here.
At Bart, excuse me. But just thinking it to him, we hear Skinner say or think, "I know you can read my thoughts, Bart. Just a little reminder. If I found out you cut class, your ass is mine. Yes, you heard me. I think words I would never say."
I know you can read my thoughts, boy. Meow, 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 meow.
So apparently telepathy is a thing in Springfield now.
They're better at it than How I Met Your Mother characters are.
Good point. The trial actually begins, and we actually get a really quick cameo here. As it pans through the audience, we see Matt Groening himself is sitting in the crowd. He's actually the person who draws the courtroom
sketch
picture.
artist.
Yeah, there you go. Sketch artist. Thank you. He's actually drawing the picture and signing it. Matt Groening is the funny part. We also see the blue-haired lawyer, except for the fact that he doesn't have blue hair.
It's not him at all, actually. It's just his voice. He looks completely different glasses.
But it's the exact
everything.
same voice is the thing.
Yeah.
It's really kind of weird, actually.
Yeah, I thought so as well.
And honestly, this sequence was probably hilarious in the 90s, kept being hilarious early into the 2000s and even 2010s. Under current circumstances, this one's a little bit rough. Trump is really bad for comedy.
I intend to prove that Freddie Quimby is totally innocent. First of all, his accuser is a very shady character. That waiter, Mr. Lacoste, not only wasn't born in Springfield, he wasn't even born in this country.
The whole jury gasped, and all of the reporters in the room run to the bank of telephones that are apparently just along the wall of the courtroom, not even outside the doors. And they're all just shocked by the fact that this is a foreigner, which, like I said, it's funny, but at the same time, the fact that we're kicking people out of the country for this very reason does, I think, tarnish this joke just slightly. We see Lionel Hutz, who somehow keeps getting work, is the Frenchman's...
But he does a better job in this one.
He actually does pretty well here, and if nothing else, he's very competent. But in this moment, he's angry because he somehow didn't realize that this very obvious fact that was just introduced in court wasn't the case, because he turns to his client and says, "From now on, you tell me everything."
And then they get another illegal immigrant that we'll find in the future episode to take the stand.
They ask, of all people, Mo to go to the stand.
Freddie Quimby was with me the entire night in question. We were collecting canned goods for the starving people in, one of them loser countries.
A woman in the jury is like, he's clearly innocent. And just then Chief Wiggum walks up with a giant bag with a money sign clearly on the side of it. Why is Wiggum so bad at timing his bribes?
Oh, good. My laundry is done.
Bart and Lisa are also in the crowd, and Bart's excited because he's like, you see, Lisa, they don't need my testimony.
Only because Mayor Quimby's buying his nephew's freedom.
Ah, the system works. Just ask Klaus von Below.
Well, Miles, do you know anything about Klaus von Bülow?
I know what Google told me, but you go right ahead, sir.
I think he is a douchebag of a person, but I can't really say that because I'm impartial in his second trial, which is technically his third and fourth trial.
Go on. Tell us what you know, sir.
Well, apparently this man attempted to murder his wife, but he didn't do such a good job, so she just got put in a coma. He got convicted in his first trial, but it was reversed, and he was found not guilty at the second trial. And in that trial, he was also accused of attempting to murder his wife by administering an insulin overdose back in, I think it was like 1980, which left her in a persistent vegetative state for the rest of her life, according to Wikipedia. So we don't know. Wikipedia, you can write whatever you want to, but at the same time, this seems pretty accurate, but he was not convicted, and it was reversed in the second one, even though she was left in the vegetative state. So, to put it lightly, I can't really speak impartially on this because I am a diabetic, and I know what that would feel like up to the point where you were put into the vegetative state. I know a friend that died doing this to himself at one point, and it is not pretty at all. Miles, you saw me when I was almost in a state like this for a little while.
Yo, it's a super gruesome way to take somebody out, honestly. Like, I could see the appeal for that as your murder objective because of the to some extent, ease that you could do it. But at the same time, talk about a cruel way to go.
Well, honestly, if you overshot me with insulin and I was aware of it, it would be a lot of fun for me because I would get to eat a lot. But,
You could live out your fantasies at the Frying Dutchman.
Yes, exactly. Although it would be the frying Taco Bell.
Well, I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Taco Bell gift card again?
I was just going to shoot you full of insulin.
Oh, okay. I can finally do my 100 tacos.
Yeah, no, so you pretty much nailed it. Yeah, and it's just a really random kind of, I imagine at the time it was a major trial. It was way over my head. I had to look it up to have any idea what they were talking about. But
I think it was just a random jab.
Nailed it. Yeah, pretty much nailed it. I think we'll move on from that.
Sorry to take all the steam out of your sails there. Or wind, whatever.
It's now Lionel Hutz's turn to address the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to prove to you not only that Freddie Quimby is guilty, but that he is also innocent of not being guilty. I refer you to my expert witness, Dr. Hibbert.
Well, only 1 in 2 million people has what we call the evil gene. Hitler had it, Walt Disney had it, and Freddie Quimby has it.
Thank you, Dr. Hibbert. I rest my case.
You rest your case?
What? Oh no, I thought that was just a figure of speech. Case closed.
I always love Hutz. Or I guess Hartman is better to do it.
Oh, it's fine,
Case
man.
closed.
I'm just not ready to lose him again in the sake of this podcast for him. Like it's a thought that honestly just kind of hangs out in the back of my mind that I hate that's always there, but every time he's on screen I just miss him so much.
Yeah, man, it is definitely, like you said, something looming over our show at the moment, and I know we'll obviously get through it and go on, but it's just going to be one episode he's there and one episode he's not, and that's the part that really stings about it, I feel like.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I mean, I'm glad they made the choice to retire him, and we'll talk more about that when we get there. I'll try to not get all emotional now about something that's not happened. Well, it's the weird part is it has happened already, but it hasn't happened for the sake of our show, so it's strange. But moving on for now, we also get a really funny moment in the jury box with Apu and Homer.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I'd like to bring something to the court's attention.
Apu leans over and he removes a pair of eyeglasses from Homer's face that had painted on open eyeballs. Homer is just like, huh? What?
Give those glasses to the bailiff.
And as soon as he hands the first pair over, he immediately pulls the second pair out and puts them right back on.
And those.
Aww.
Your Honor, even though I've proven my client's innocence, I'd still like to call Freddie Quimby to the stand so that we can all bask in his gentle decency.
Of course, Freddie stands up and gives that Kennedy smile and just waves to the room. And he starts to get questioned.
Mr. Quimby, did you assault Mr. Lacoste?
Of course not. I love each and everything on God's green earth.
Therefore, you would never lose your temper over something as trivial as the pronunciation of chowder.
That's chowder! Chowder! I'll kill you! I'll kill all of you! Especially those of you in the jury!
Wow, that didn't go well. The defense rests.
So, things are falling apart for Freddie Quimby. The jury box, Helen Lovejoy included, she's just like, this is going to be easy. We'll be done by lunch.
Good. I hear the dog from Frasier is going to ride the dolphin on Sequest.
Which you'll probably have to Google Sequest to know what the hell that is. It was like a show that lasted for about 3 years. I think it played on like USA or another cable network.
But Jasper's excited about it.
I actually did watch a couple episodes. I liked it.
You mean the couple episodes they actually had?
Well, they lasted for 3 years and they won 2 Emmys. It wasn't like the worst show.
And then we had C-Lab 2021. Wait, that's a
I think that's a completely different thing.
I know.
I think, honestly, Sequest was really expensive, may have been the problem. I didn't do a lot of research on Sequest for what it's worth, but I just remember watching a couple episodes when I was a kid, and I've always been into, like, the underwater world, so I thought that would be a cool idea.
Under the sea.
Under the sea. Exactly. Lisa at this point is kind of starting to guilt Bart a little bit, or really just kind of encourage him to do the right thing more than anything. She's pointing out that an innocent man may go to jail because he's not willing to speak up. And Bart's considering it, but just then we overhear Skinner as he's walking away to go to deliberation. I can't wait for the sentencing part. That's where I really shine.
And then Bart starts to imagine what will happen with Skinner at the bench.
Bart, for the heinous crime of hooky, I sentence you to a lifetime of hard labor in the cafeteria. And we get a great sequence here in the future. Bart, who is now much, much older, we can tell by the stubble he has on his face,
And how tall
is
he
dressed
is.
and how tall he is. And he's essentially, I don't mean this in a sexist manner, but he is definitely dressed like a lunch lady, not just a lunch server.
More cream corn, Jimbo Jr.?
This cream corn tastes like cream crap.
Watch the potty mouth, honey.
Bart is awoken from this nightmare by the judge, who says to him, your sister says you have something to tell me?
What? I just wanted to say how great it is to finally see some chicks on the bench. Keep up the good work, Toots.
That's great joke on that. Judge is not impressed, and she's even upset with Lisa, who was the one that actually brought the judge to Bart.
Chicks on the bench.
And as David Merkin pointed out, what a great line to go to our second act with. Chicks on the bench. One of the all-time greats.
Ugh.
By the way, I didn't bring it up, but speaking of the commentary, this episode's commentary featured David Merkin, David Silverman, Matt Groening, but for some unknown reason, the writer of this episode, John Swartzwelder, was not able to make it to the commentary taping.
We'll get him eventually. We should try to reach out for him to be on our podcast.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Does he even have a Twitter?
I don't think that dude has a phone, man. He does have a Twitter, but he has an egg. He doesn't have a picture. He's actually known as the most followed Twitter egg one of the most followed eggs on Twitter, because you're an egg if you don't have a picture.
Oh, I thought you meant a literal egg. I don't know Twitter.
No, like when you don't have a picture, it's like default is just to make you an egg, and he literally has an egg, and he still has hundreds of thousands of followers.
That's awesome.
Speaking of Schwartzwelder, though, there's actually a picture of him in the new book, Springfield Confidential, Jokes, Secrets, and Outright Lies, from a lifetime writing for The Simpsons. That book, of course, written by Mike Reese, and you can win an early release copy of that book. All you have to do is use the hashtag #WorstContestEver anywhere on social media, and we're going to put you in the hat to take home one of 5 copies before you can buy it.
So you guys keep tweeting at us with that. You guys are doing a great job so far, but we want it to get even bigger. Show Mike Reese your love, show The Simpsons your love, and definitely show Comic Book Guy your love. So tweet at us again. Worst contest ever.
Hey, the bigger this hashtag gets, the more opportunities like this we're going to have for cool giveaways in the future. So keep helping us grow that as much as possible. We really appreciate it, and we can't wait to give away some copies of this book. I've been reading it, and it is really fucking good.
And thank you to Mike Reese for actually speaking with you and doing this great ad that you guys hear at the beginning of our episodes, too. He's stepping up to the plate and going above and beyond to help us out with that.
Yeah, that was really, really cool of him. But I do think for now, use that hashtag. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back for Act 3 of The Boy Who Knew Too Much.
Holy sidetracking, guys! The train just came off the tracks! Derailers!
Be sure to follow the Derailers on Twitter at The Derailers!
And make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, and also on YouTube so you can catch the episode next week, folks. Same derailment time, same derailment channel.
Greetings, friend. Do you wish to look as happy as me? Well, you've got the power inside you right now, so use it and send $1 to Best Darn Diddly. You can find us on Patreon.com or donate to us directly on PayPal at bestdarndiddly@gmail.com. Don't delay. Eternal happiness is just $1 away.
$1 for eternal happiness and to support one of my favorite podcasts. I'd be happier with $1.
Back for our final act, we see the jury is discussing the case in the back room. And honestly, I've already declared my favorite joke and changed it. And I'm not changing the joke, but I will say I think this is actually my favorite sequence, just in terms of the whole scene. This is one of the funnier sequence in this episode, which is really, again, saying something, because there are a lot of really good moments in this show.
Why bother voting? He's guilty.
Well, we might as well make it official.
What does sequestered mean?
If the jury is deadlocked, they're put up in a hotel together so they can communicate with the outside world.
What does deadlocked mean?
It's when the jury can't agree on a verdict.
Uh-huh. And if?
A conjunction, meaning in the event that, or on condition that.
So if we don't vote the same way, we'll be deadlocked and have to be sequestered in the Springfield Palace Hotel?
That's not going to happen, Homer.
Let's vote. My liver's failing. Where we'll get a free room, free food, free swimming pool, free HBO, free Willy!
Justice is not a frivolous thing, Simpson. It has little, if anything, to do with a disobedient well. Now let's vote. I'm sorry, I love so much that Skinner finds the events of Free Willy to be that the whale is being disobedient. Go ahead.
I'm glad you amused yourself, Miles. And Skinner. How are the rest of you voting?
Guilty.
Okay, fine. How many S's in innocent?
Ugh.
I'm only doing what I think is right. I believe Freddie Quimby should walk out of here a free hotel.
This whole sequence is, like I said, just absolutely fantastic. And of course, it leads to a deadlocked jury, so they are in fact going to have to be sequestered in the hotel, and of all people, Homer and Skinner become roommates, and it's immediately a parody of The Odd Couple.
Aw, I miss you too, Marge, but the law needs me. I'll be home as soon as I can.
He immediately hangs up for that to order more room service.
Room service? Send up 2 more pot roasts and 3 more pillows with mints on them.
Skinner's trying to clean up after Homer, but Homer's making a mess faster than Skinner can clean up. When Skinner does actually say, "Oh, we're like the original Odd Couple. You're the messy one, and I'm the..."
Shut up!
Oh, yes, very well. Back at the Simpsons' home, Lisa suspects that the guilt inside Bart is starting to build, but Bart is handling it. In fact, he declares himself Cucumber Boy, as in cool as a...
Next, on McGonagall. McGonagall is framed for a crime he didn't commit, and only one person can clear his name, a little sissy boy who's too scared to come forward.
You gotta tell him what you saw, Billy.
But I'm so scared, McGonagall.
You gotta do this one for me, Billy. McGonagall.
Well, okay. For you, McGonagall. Well, McGonagall, Billy is dead. They slit a throat from ear to ear.
Hey, I'm trying to eat lunch here.
I just want to point out that the last 2 scenes, in a really off, weird, cool way, kind of mirrored each other, because Homer was laying down in bed eating, and Skinner was there standing above him talking to him, and the last thing Homer was eating seemed kind of like a long candy bar type thing. And then when it cut to inside the Simpsons home, Bart was literally laying back on the couch eating a candy bar type thing while Lisa was standing over him. And also both guys were watching TV during this whole thing.
And probably, most likely, McGonagall.
Probably so. Or Homer was starting Free Willy.
Free Willy. Yeah, another great sequence also in the hotel room with Homer watching TV.
Jump, Free Willy, jump! Jump with all your might!
We see the famous sequence at the end of the film where the little boy is standing on the jetty with his hand raised high as Free Willy makes it and clears over him. Only this time we hear a woman off screen. "Oh no! Willie didn't make it! And he crushed our boy!"
Ew, what a mess. Oh, I don't like this new director's cut.
The commentary team spoke about the idea that at this time in the 90s, DVDs were really starting to become popular, and especially director's cuts, which were now being able to be fit on the disc. So they just thought it'd be funny to make a joke here about there being a very different ending to the way the director wanted to go with Free Willy.
Which totally makes sense because directors are all like that.
Gotta go dark.
That was the David Merkin ending to Free Willy, I think.
It probably was, yeah. We see another sequence back at the hotel where Skinner and Homer are roommates. This time, Homer's working with Barney to take what he declares as samples, though he has a loose definition of those because he's actually passing a table down out the window. Clearly, Homer is taking lots of things that he is declaring a souvenir from his stay.
Is that my necktie you're wearing?
Souvenir. I don't think it counts if you're just stealing from your roommate, for what it's worth. There's no logo on that tie. I'm with him all the way, though. You can take the batteries and the light bulbs and the soaps and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I know. When something called the Nintendo Wii first came out, was playing my game when I was at work all day, and I always wondered why my batteries were dead on my nunchuck.
I bought you more batteries.
Eventually.
That was a good week.
A good Wii?
A good Wii week. This whole McGonagall sequence and everything finally does start to take its toll on Bart, and he goes to his mother. Mom, what if there's a really bad crummy guy who's going to jail, but I know he's innocent?
Well, Bart, your Uncle Arthur used to have a saying, shoot 'em all and let God sort 'em out. Unfortunately, one day he put his theory into practice. It took 75 federal marshals to bring him down. Now let's never speak of him again.
Mom!
Huh?
What if I can get this guy off the hook? Should I do it?
Honey, you should listen to your heart, and not the voices in your head like a certain uncle did one gray December morning.
I love how Marge can just compartmentalize this terrible, terrible tragedy from her past.
Well, and I like that they kind of threw in the historical, like, kill them all, let God sort them out.
Sort them out.
Which, I mean, I don't know if you know this, was taken from, like, way, way back. There's lots of people that don't know for sure where the phrase started. Or, I mean, who started the phrase, I mean. But it was, like, way back in the 1200s. And that was the Feast of Mary Magdalene, where there was a whole bunch of Christians together, so to speak. And then when there were certain Catholics that didn't agree with the other Catholics, what was it, the Castors? I'm trying to remember for sure. I'm trying to pull it back up. The Cathars were the ones that were against all the other Catholics. So the Pope Innocent III tricked all these people into coming in together. And then when they got everybody in there together, he started ordering the Crusaders to just start wiping everybody out. And when somebody asked him, how are we going to know who are the Cathars and who are our own patrons of the Catholic Church? That's when he said the famous quotes that got taken and changed over the years to let God sort them out.
Kill them all and let God sort them out?
Yeah, but that wasn't the actual quote. Give me 1 second to get to that. It was this other. It wasn't the Pope that said it. It was the leader of the French little soiree there that said, "Kill them all, God will recognize His own," which over the years got changed into "Kill them all and let God sort them out."
Interesting, good stuff.
Yeah, I got some of the names wrong in there, I think, but the leader of the party they're unsure of who actually said that part, but whatever.
Well, like all history, I mean, everything's gonna get changed a little bit throughout time, especially without like recorded history.
It just reminds me of there's an Assassin's Creed mission where you're going into a party and then they start trying to kill everybody in there. And maybe it was that actual one. Maybe it was the one with the Catholics and the Cathars. That wouldn't surprise me if you were in there. And I think the assassin's trying to kill the leader that's poisoning everybody.
Right on.
Take that little journey with history with us, even though we got a lot of the details wrong.
I was going to say, I don't know if that counts as a history lesson, but it's an exposure to a historical event. We'll go with that.
A history instance.
That's it. For now, we go back to the courtroom where we hear the judge say, even though reopening a trial at this point is illegal and grossly unconstitutional, I just can't say no to the kids.
So, young man, if Freddie Quimby didn't inflict these injuries on Mr. Lacoste, just who did?
Well, I was hiding in the kitchen when it all happened. Say it, Frenchie! Say chowder!
Never.
Okay, you asked for it. I'm gonna enjoy this. And all the grunting and all the banging and the clashing and the clanging that we heard earlier, where we can only see Bart's face, now for the first time, the viewer of the episode gets to see what really happened.
For the first time on animated television.
And the thing that Freddy's really going to enjoy is the bottle of champagne he steals and then walks out of the building. And it was actually the waiter himself.
Which, he's only 18 and he's chugging champagne. I want to throw that out there.
Yeah, it's legal in most countries.
Well, no, he's a rich nephew of Quimby, so of course he's going to get to do whatever he wants anyways.
Did you not drink at 18? I know
no,
I did.
I didn't, but that's
I drank
because I was afraid it would kill my the diabetic side of me, pretty much.
Fair enough. But yeah, the waiter just, in actuality, slipped and fell, and he banged into all the pots and pans. He fell into the oven at one time. He burned himself on the stove. He fell into, the best part, he accidentally at one point falls into a closet labeled rat trap storage for some reason.
I don't want to eat at that place.
And that's, of course, when Bart, it comes back to reality, and we hear Bart say, and that's what really happened.
Well, this is an outrage. I am not a clumsy Clouseau-esque waiter. I will...
And the waiter again stumbles and falls. This time he gets his leg caught in a chair, stumbles around the courtroom before falling out the window into a truck labeled rat traps and also caution open top.
Since 1989.
And this time at least there wasn't any big ones.
At least there were no big ones.
Snap! Aye! How could you have seen all this, Bart? Weren't you supposed to be in school?
I sort of skipped school.
Skinner pops up. I knew it! I knew you'd slip up sooner or later, Simpson.
What slip up? What are you talking about? He confessed it.
Quiet, I need this.
Which, my guidebook pointed this out, but I noticed it as well. The Simpsons, A Complete Guide to Our Favorite Family. This is the second episode in a row where Apu blatantly shuts down Skinner at a certain point in the episode.
Yeah, Billy and the Clonosaurus.
Yeah, where he's getting on to him about coming up last week with a novel that exactly mirrored Jurassic Park with a much worse title.
How could you not know, sir? Oh, that's good.
I don't know what Apu has against Skinner, but he really gets on to him.
So all is well that ends well. Freddy is declared innocent. The trial is dismissed. Quimby shakes his nephew's hand.
Even though it was all unconstitutional to come back to the trial.
It was all completely against the law to do this. But we then get the showdown between Skinner and Bart. Bart, I'm impressed with what you did in there. You testified for the Quimby boy even though it was putting your own head in a noose. On the other hand, you skipped school.
I guess the two things cancel each other out, huh?
I'm a small man in some ways, Bart. A small, petty man. 3 months detention.
Oh.
Wait a minute, Bart.
Huh?
Make that 4 months detention.
That's a long time.
That's a huge chunk of time. Especially when he ultimately did the right thing. Kind of fucked up in some ways.
No,
but
it's not. He broke the rules,
Skinner,
but the length is the issue.
The length is a long time, but Skinner did say he's a small, petty man. I love that sequence too, but again, there's a lot of good ones here. And finally, it's all time for that beautiful moment at the end of the episode where we reset the package for next week. We see Homer and Marge in their bedroom. Homer says, well, Marge, it was horrible. Everyone was against me in that jury room, but I stood by the courage of my convictions, and I prevailed. And that's why we had Chinese food for lunch.
Good for you, homie. You know, a lot of things happened around here while you were gone.
Right, Marge. I want to hear all about it. And we see him put on a pair of those open eye glasses before trying to, quote-unquote, listen to Marge.
Give me those.
Aww. And he puts on another pair.
And this is all coming from a shot, like, outside of the house now at this point.
And it starts to actually fade to black, and we just hear the audio and the snapping sound it makes when Marge takes the glasses off.
And those.
Aww. I think they do it 3 times because
Yeah.
he learned that 2 wasn't enough in the courtroom. I also forgot to point out that as we pan through the bedroom, we see that it is now completely refinished and refurnished, all with things from the Springfield Hotel. Kleenex boxes to tables and furniture included.
I think even the light was like, there were wires coming out of one of the lights up on their wall, so I assume he took the light from inside the room.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything in the room was entirely brand new, and Homer, to his credit, was totally listening to his wife. And that, of course, brings us to the end of our episode, The Boy Who Knew Too Much. Richie, was there anything else that you or that book of yours want to add before we call it a day?
Well, my book that I referenced a little while ago, The Simpsons, A Complete Guide to Our Favorite Family, mentioned a few things that we went over already, but the one thing I don't remember if we actually talked about was the newspaper article that Bart snatches from Marge's hands the morning after the party. The newspaper article said, Quimby nephew charged in beating, and there's a sub-headline that said, Chowder said wrong. I just love that it actually mentions that in there. But besides that, I just want to say, for it being a second episode with Skinner in a row with it, I enjoyed it, but I did feel that it was a little weird. I feel like in the last episode, Skinner's character really began to get fleshed out, where he's like really down a lot, and he's not just this super strict guy that's this big badass, and he's a Terminator style. And yet in this episode, he literally becomes all those things again, where he's like the super badass Terminator style. So it was a little bit weird. It almost felt like maybe these episodes weren't made back to back, or that's the difference where you have 2 different writers headlining the episode, where they do kind of mess with the formula slightly just to make it fit that episode. But it's like they completely forgot everything they just went through. But they did mention in the last episode, Bart and Skinner, that it would be like they were enemies again. So in a way, it kind of set this episode up almost.
Yeah, it is an interesting placement. I would agree with you. I would probably imagine they weren't necessarily made in order. I don't know for certain. I did not check, but I do like the idea that it does set them up as enemies, and then we immediately see them going eye to eye again. However, it
Not
does
eye to
seem
eye.
well head to head. I don't know. They're facing off with one another.
Mono y
Mono. Either way, it's an interesting placement for certain. Very peculiar to get 2 very heavy Skinner episodes back to back like that. Overall, though, another great episode. Laughed throughout, all the way from top to bottom. Couple other things I will point out before we call it a day. This episode heavily parodied the real-life events of the Kennedy family, where in real life, William Kennedy Smith was actually accused of rape at a party he attended with his uncle Ted Kennedy. In this episode, Freddie Quimby simulates William Kennedy Smith, and Mayor Quimby represents Ted Kennedy. All the details, though, are actually pretty close. Thus, replace the crime with beating a waiter to a rape of a person at the party, which, of course, is a little bit more grim. I think they made the right choice of changing that detail for the show.
But was there an actual witness, though, in the real-life case that saw that he didn't actually do it?
I don't think that there was actually a witness. I didn't check, actually. I probably should have. That's my bad. I just went off of the snippet I found, and it just they used that case as inspiration is what happened. The other one, less grim, that I want to talk about, I actually thought this was a really fun fact. We mentioned very early in the episode that Bart has a fantasy sequence where he plays Tom Sawyer, and that was not just a one-note reference. That was actually a lot of foreshadowing, because in the adventures of Tom Sawyer, the night after Tom skips school, Tom and Huck sneak into a graveyard where they witness a murder. The town accuses the town's drunk Muff Potter, but Tom is racked with guilt because he knows that the real criminal was Injun Joe. And of course, we see this exact plot play out with Bart Simpson throughout the entire episode, almost point for point. So, really great job of a literary reference.
So the undocumented foreigner is the one at fault in both instances.
Though, to be fair, Injun Joe wouldn't be a foreigner. He's actually a native.
That is correct. but according to the people in charge, he is a foreigner.
That's true. Yes. He is not the right person for ownership of the country, according to the people in charge.
The head of government, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Man, we live in a fucked up world. But that is going to do it for this week's Best Darn Diddly Review Show. Thank you, as always, so much for tuning in and going on this journey with us. Richie, go ahead and tell them real quick where they can find you online.
As always, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at theWizKid23. Also, while you're on Twitter, go ahead and give our show a follow as well. That's at Best Darn Diddly. That's DIDDLY. That also works on Facebook, Instagram, and all over social media. Also, if you play Monster Hunter, hook up with me and we can start a guild together. I am theWizKid, as my character says.
I am at MrMostDaysOff. That's going to work pretty much everywhere. Other than that, don't forget to use the hashtag #WorstContestEver. And get yourself in the drawing to win a copy of Springfield Confidential, the new book coming out this summer by Mike Reese. And, as always, make sure you come back next week to join Richie and I as we review the episode Lady Bouvier's Lover.
I know you can all hear me out there, and I just want to tell you, meow, 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 meow.
Until next time, be cromulent to each other.
Writers are strange and lonely people. We tend to be trapped in our heads, thinking of characters, coming up with voices, setting scenes. It's a lonely, depressing lifestyle. I mean, some of us drink. Others put a shotgun in their mouth. Whatever it may be, writers need some type of outlet. And that's why Daniel Ford and I got together and created the Writer's Bone podcast to help writers and to keep them out of situations like an insane asylum or painting a wall with their brain matter.
You can subscribe to Writer's Bone on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. Head over to writersbone.com to check out our original fiction, essays, boneyard discussions, and more. And in the meantime, all you writers out there, and hell, all you non-writers out there, keep writing.